It's about 12 o'clock, midday here in Brisbane. I guess some of you are probably in the morning, maybe some of you are even in the evening. Thanks for joining us. My name's Brian McIntosh, the Senior Lecturer and Education Manager here at the International Water Centre. Online we've also got an alumni, or an almost an alumnus, Diana Madrigal, who entered the full-time program in 2014, so has just finished her final project and is essentially awaiting graduation in about a week or two's time. Yes, you can see Diana's clapping. Well done to Diana. We've also got Jacqueline Maturi on board. Jacqueline Diana's from Costa Rica and Jacqueline is from Kenya. Jacqueline joined the program this year in 2015, so has just finished her first semester. So it's sort of at the other end of the program to Diana. We're going to listen to both Diana and Jacqueline a little bit later on, but many thanks to both of you for joining us. Online we've also got Delphine, who's our marketing manager. She's helping to control things just now. Will also help to answer questions. And we've got Shelley Okamoto. Shelley is Shelley's from the education team and will be here to help answer questions. Shelley or Delphine, maybe it looks like Jacqueline's got some microphone problems, so maybe you could set up a private chat and just help Jacqueline work through those. Okay, so you're here to learn about the International Water Centre, about the Master of Integrated Water Management that we offer, and about scholarships and probably about studying in Brisbane and maybe a whole set of other questions. We'll have questions towards the end once we've listened to myself and to Diana and Jacqueline, and we'll pose the questions via the chat box and we'll answer them verbally. If your questions are really specific, then we'll probably get you to email us and we can deal with your questions offline if they're really down at the level of specific detail to your circumstances and your application. Okay, so I'll say something about the Masters first of all. What it looks like, what it is as a program, what it's designed to do in terms of developing your skills and knowledge. I'll say something about the learning approach and the learning environment, and I'll say something also about the kind of people who come on the program and about the sorts of career destinations that they end up pursuing. We'll then go into the Master's scholarships that we've got open just now, both for international applicants and for domestic, meaning Australian or New Zealand applicants. We'll give you some information on other scholarship possibilities that you might apply for to gain access to the program, and then we'll give you some details about how you can get further information and a contact address. Okay, so first of all though, about the Masters program. So we run the Masters of Integrated Water Management, or MIWM as we call it. And it's unique for a couple of different reasons. I suppose the first reason is the fact that it's a collaborative master's program, and collaborative means that it's delivered by several universities. In fact, we've got representatives of from different areas of the water sector to teach into and run some of the modules on the program. It's collaborative also in the sense that although the degree you gain is a University of Queensland degree, and University of Queensland, or UQ, is one of the top 50 universities in the world, the testimony, the certificate that you get at the end of the program has got all 4 university crests on it. So it's a little bit special, a little bit unique in that regard. What's also special, I suppose, about the Masters is the mix of subjects covered. You know, it's not an engineering Masters with a little bit of social science on the side. It's not a social science Master with a little bit of engineering. Really, we've tried to construct and deliver a Masters which is much more evenly spread across the disciplines. That's to enable people to really be able to understand and manage all aspects of the water cycle, from the human and social aspects through infrastructural and into the natural and hydrological and ecological aspects. I suppose finally the last sort of unique point about the master's program is its professional focus. So it's designed to build professional and practical skills, although there are a few folk who decide every year to go off to do a PhD or research, and that's fine. That's compatible with the program, and it enables those people to do so. But the main bulk of the I suppose the participants are interested in practice, in instituting some change in whichever part of the water sector they operate in, and whichever kind of organisation they operate in. They're interested in playing a very active role in shaping and transforming the way in which we manage water and deliver water and wastewater services. So that professional focus means you get a very professionally experienced and knowledgeable cohort, and that's I think another aspect of what makes this program special. What does it look like? Well, most of you I think are probably from outside Australia, and in which case for international students, but also for domestic if they want, we run the program as a full-time master's program. That means it's spread over 3 semesters. Each semester is about 3 months long, just a little bit longer, which means in total there's about 9 or 10 months worth of study time, but it's spread over an 18-month period. So semester 1, the foundation semester, runs from the end of February to the very beginning of June every year. And then semester 2 runs from the end of July through to the end of October. And then semester 3 is essentially the same sort of time as semester 1. It runs from the end of February through to the very beginning of June. People start that's for full-time. Full-time is open for international and domestic. We run a part-time program version of the program as well, which is only for domestic applicants because you can't get a part-time study visa for Australia. If you're from outside Australia, you have to study full-time. The part-time program, I won't talk about in a lot of detail here, but willing to answer questions and to circulate information later on. The part-time program is basically spread over 3 years. So you do instead of doing 4 modules in a semester, you do 2 modules in a semester. So it takes you twice the time. Semester 1, the foundation semester, is about laying the basics about science of water, water quality, water treatment, wastewater treatment, hydrology, water chemistry, about how to manage large infrastructural and water projects, and particularly how to incorporate issues of social impact, environmental impact, gender equity into the management of water projects. We also look at bottom-up forms of management of water, community-based and participatory forms of management in the water sustainability and development module, before we look at the opposite, this kind of top-down forms of organisation for water resources and water services, and that's in the water governance and policy module. Every semester we synthesize through projects. We call them PBLs, problem-based learning projects. We synthesize what you learn, the skills and the knowledge in the modules. We synthesize them and apply them in practical problem-based ways using the PBLs. The second semester, everyone still does 2 common modules: catchment and aquatic ecosystem health, which is about how to measure and monitor aquatic ecosystem health, and consequently how to manage catchments, at least partly for ecosystem health. And also about water planning and economics, what water planning is and what economics is as a tool to help assist and inform planning decisions. We then split into streams. So we really cater for, I suppose, 3 of the big ticket items in terms of areas of the water sector. So there's international development, and that's particularly rural international development, although to some degree also a bit focused on peri-urban, sort of slum and informal settlements. managing the urban water cycle in different ways, transforming the way that we provide water and wastewater services, perhaps by diversifying water sources away from traditional reservoir or groundwater sources. And then we've got water, land and people, which is at the catchment, possibly even larger, sort of regional scale. And it's focused on managing scarcity and water security across multiple stakeholders, and particularly agricultural stakeholders, farmers. So you're all still on campus, but you do different modules depending on the stream that you decide to do, international development, urban water, or water, land and people. We then have a final project, and the final project is an opportunity for you to really, I suppose, cap off what you've been learning and practicing in the modules with a really focused project in an area or with an organisation or kind of organisation that you would like to continue, an area you'd like to continue working in, or an organisation you'd like to continue or to start working for. I'll tell you a little bit more about the streams before we say a little bit more about the final projects and then about the overall learning experience. So the international development stream it really sort of looks at two components of primarily rural international development. The first component is WASH, water, sanitation and hygiene. And there we're looking at a mixture of the technologies and the management practices associated with providing improved water supplies, improved sanitation services, and also improved hygiene. Water, the Millennium Development Goal for improved access to water has been tracking very nicely. Sanitation lagging a little bit behind, but the risk is that hygiene and a lack of hygiene actually undermines the gains which have come from improving access to water and sanitation. And hygiene's a really tricky one. It's about behaviour change. So the WASH module that we run allows people to, and provides people with the skills and knowledge to start working as WASH practitioners, whether they're focused on the water supply side, on the sanitation side, or on the underlying hygiene side, which is so critical to relieving the burden of disease. We also, in the international development stream, we look at livelihoods and the relationship between water resources and the lives and the livelihoods of people in rural communities. The picture in front of you is from the Pak Mun Dam, which was one of the first hydroelectric dams situated on the Mekong. The Mun River, M-U-N, in Thailand, near the border with Laos, is a major tributary of the Mekong. The Pak Mun Dam was constructed in 1994 to provide electricity and to some degree also to augment irrigation water supplies. It's had a profound impact on the area, knocking out about 160 or so fish species from 270, and as a consequence having a profound effect on the lives and the livelihoods of the 50 or so villages that previously depended upon the Mun River for their fishing and subsistence agriculture livelihood. So we go there and we learn about the relationships between water and development and livelihoods by going and living in a village and living in people's houses and learning about it from the domestic scale right up through to the kind of regional and national scales. And we learn about both about the transformations which are occurring there, and we're asking questions about which ones are good and which ones are bad, but we're also learning some techniques for engaging practically in development work. So participatory rural appraisal style techniques. The urban stream on the about the extent to which it's sustainable. So in the middle there you'll see a picture of a traditional, in fact existing model of urban development. Compared to the natural landscape, we've basically built a lot of hard surface and buildings, roads and tarmac and concrete. The people who live in an urban area tend to be supplied in terms of water by importing their water from upstream or from groundwater sources, or possibly even from another catchment. After the process of use, there's a large quantity of wastewater is discharged, which needs to be treated. Or alternatively, it ends up causing potential pollution, which can have ecological and health impacts. traditionally in our cities we don't really manage stormwater, so we end up with, we don't harvest stormwater, so we end up with large volumes of poor quality runoff, carrying hydrocarbons and animal feces and rubbish and dust and heavy metals and all sorts off into streams and creeks, usually in quite a flashy, fast, erosive way, which is quite environmentally damaging, geomorphologically damaging to creeks as well as ecologically damaging. And we've got a lot of rainfall. So this falls, but that rainfall doesn't translate into much infiltration to support the base flow of rivers or creeks. Instead, it runs off as this poor quality runoff. So we look at sustainability in this module. We look at the technology and the governance and the community dimensions of how we might break apart that and reform that traditional model of urban development to make better use of wastewater, to make better use of stormwater, to encourage and enhance infiltration into soil to support base flow in creeks, and how we might use green infrastructure to help that process of infiltration, but also to help provide social benefits, heat mitigation, which is important as our temperature rises as a consequence of global warming, and we find that we have an increased urban heat island effect. So we look at multiple engineering and human dimensions and ecological dimensions of how we might reform the way in which we manage our urban water cycle and the services that we require from water within our cities. We also look at the city in the urban metabolism module as we sort of think about it as being a flow of resources, a flow of water, a flow of energy, a flow of carbon, nitrogen and phosphorus in the form of food. And we start to ask questions about the extent to which these flows are sustainable, what we understand of them, the extent to which they expose us to vulnerabilities in supply chains, and we also look at the extent to which these different flows interrelate and interact with each other. So we look at this nexus, this water and energy nexus. We look at the energy that's required in water systems, the water that's required in energy systems. We look at how energy is embodied and used to recover carbon and nutrients, and we start asking questions about how we might do this in a more resource efficient and how we might provide and structure our water, food and energy systems in a more resource efficient and cost effective manner, and in a way which is resilient and sustainable. Already around about more than 50% of the world's cities, defined as having 100,000 people or more, are in basins, river basins or catchments, which have depletion of their net depletion of their water resources greater than replenishment for more than 6 months of the year. So essentially, they're on a trajectory to run out of water at some point. This is quite a profound piece of insight, and the main driver for increasing water scarcity, well, I suppose there's two main drivers. One is changes in the way in which our rainfall patterns are occurring. Previously wet places are becoming increasingly dry, or rain is falling in intense ways, which is not so useful and not so easily absorbed by soil. But the other driver, I suppose, is agriculture. We've got a growing population. We are requiring more and more food, and agriculture and irrigation is, along with climate change, really the cause of this global pattern of water decline. Water insecurity and water decline really means that we need to have people who are able to work across different stakeholders and sectoral groups. We're able to understand, and this is a picture of California. California in 2013, lots of snow. Same date, 2014, not much snow. Where does California get most of its surface? Strong tensions between the urban and the agricultural sectors, between poorer and richer farmers, and between urban agriculture and water for the environment, for ecosystem purposes. In order to cope with and adapt to changing rainfall and water scarcities and water security levels, there's a need for people who have skills, technical understanding of agriculture and how water is used and what the limits are for improving water efficiency, but also skills in consensus and collaboration and conflict management to bring together multiple actors at catchment and regional scales to start addressing and formulating ways of adapting to either chronic or periodic water insecurity. Across sectors I mentioned, and that's important with respect to energy. Energy requires water to produce generally, unless it's solar, although there's some water used in the manufacturing process for solar. But coal-fired power stations, for example, require water for evaporative cooling. Hydropower requires water in dams, which has massive evaporation. As electricity demand and electricity generation is expected to grow across the world, this is an infographic from the World Bank 2013 Thirsty Energy report. As electricity generation is expected to grow, so water use is expected to grow. So in Asia, by 2050, an expected growth in electricity generation of 350%, which will increase water usage by the power sector by 350%. In Africa, 700% growth in electricity generation, which will come with a 500% increase in water use. So being able to not just think about water resources and farmers, but being able to think about water resources, farmers, electricity and energy generation, mining and resources, urban water sector, having the skills to work across those boundaries is going to become increasingly important in many places across the world. And that's what this stream is about, water, land and people. The two modules are designed to build those skills and knowledge. Underlying everything that we're trying to do across the Masters is we're trying to turn specialists, so people with an I shape, to their skills. An I meaning you know a lot, you've got great depth, about a little, your scope might be relatively narrow. We're trying to broaden and enable specialists to interact and understand and work effectively with other specialists to create and drive ways of adapting to the pressures which are facing the water sector now and will be faced over the next 10, 20, 30, 50 years. We talk about T-shaped, and the T-shaped basically is what or the T-bar is what we will be developing during the Masters program. So we focus on a range of different subjects to increase your understanding of other disciplines and functions. We focus on helping to improve your organizational skills around project management and team leadership, and we focus on influencing how you can work with others to collaborate, to come up with compelling visions and help to drive processes of change. That idea of a T-shaped water professional is really, that's in one slide, that's what we're trying to do in terms of this Masters. It's not a specialist Masters, it's a Masters which will enable you as a specialist to be able to work more effectively and more innovatively across functional and disciplinary boundaries. The Masters program is professionally targeted, it's practical and it's applied, although there's strong theoretical and empirical research underpinnings. And we provide, I suppose, some practical and hands-on learning through our problem-based learning projects, our PBLs. There's 2 of those per semester for a full-timer. People from the urban participants from the urban metabolism module, and we were there looking at how the plant operates and how the water recycling part of the plant operates, because it recycles water for industrial purposes. We also go to North Stradbroke Island. It's an island just off the coast of Brisbane, a fantastic microcosm of tensions between economy, which is primarily mining oriented, and community, which is a mix of indigenous and non-indigenous and pro-environmental and pro-mining. A really fascinating place to be, and that's how we start the whole of the program. Some of the modules are delivered entirely by field trip. The Perth module is for water and agricultural landscapes. We go over there and we learn about agriculture and adaptations to agriculture and agricultural water use in an increasingly dry and already dry land agricultural system. And we go to Thailand, as I mentioned, to understand the pressures around which are transforming people's lives and livelihoods as a consequence of energy development and as a consequence of urbanization and a whole set of different kinds of trends. Some of them and drivers, some of them related directly to the dam, which I mentioned. The final project is it's 1/3 of the program. You can use the final project to be a bridge, a step into a PhD, and we quite often we usually have one, maybe two people every year who want to follow a research and a doctoral career path. That's fine. The final project can be quite research focused and focused on making a contribution to research, or for the bulk of our participants, they're interested in a practical and applied project, something that's going to create some benefit or some insight for practical action. And also the project might be a way for them to gain experience with the kind of organisation that they are keen to work for, or experience with the kind of organisation that's a little bit like the one they work for at home. So for example, somebody from a utility might, from outside Australia, who works for a utility, might come here, do the master's full-time, and do their final project with a utility here to learn something about utility operation as it's undertaken here in Australia. We have final project topics on almost anything you can mention to do with water, from community scale right through to policy and governance reform. We've got organisational change. We've got water supply, wastewater. We've got water recycling. We've got mining in water. We've got hygiene. We've got behaviour change. We've got everything from anthropologically focused projects through to more technical and sort of engineering focused projects. All of them are wrapped up and contextualized and in some way integrated. They involve coordination and across boundaries to achieve better water management outcomes. You'll be here in Australia, so you'll be able to benefit from some of Australia's water expertise. Australia is the land of drought and flooding rain, as a famous poet, Dorothy McKellar, once said. And that's true. Australia oscillates between drought and flooding rain. So we've got good governance and technical and management expertise and insight around how to manage both extremes. And you'll be able to access that through the modules, the academics and the industry and government speakers who feed into the modules. Importantly, you'll be able to access knowledge and experience from all over the world. There's about 20-ish nationalities usually in a cohort. Diana's cohort last year was a bit crazy. It had about 28 nationalities. So it's strongly international, strongly diverse, and that's a fantastic learning environment. You've then got a really globally and you will enjoy it. Student backgrounds, where do people come from? Well, about 50% are some flavour of engineer, civil, chemical, bit of mechanical, occasional electrical engineer. About 30% are in natural science, so environmental science or chemistry or biology, something like that. And then the remainder are some kind of social or humanities background, so law, business, community development, anthropology, economics. So a real mix of people again, which adds to the vibrancy of the learning environment and makes it quite exciting. We've got an alumni network, which we've had up and running for a couple of years now, and we are in the middle of transforming the way in which we provide value to our members. We've got all the connections. We've got a very active Facebook group where people can share news, questions, hook up with people, share jobs, ask for jobs or ideas, and we're looking to develop, identify champions to lead and run particular activities. So Frederick Buchert from the Murray-Darling Basin Agency, he's been running a kind of a policy comment group, so that he gets together people to comment on new water policy and submit formal responses on behalf of the alumni network to different policy initiatives here in Australia. And it's that kind of real kind of networking and professional value adding that the alumni network is focused on. Where do people go once they've done the masters? Well, many people go back to the to where they were employed. Lots of people internationally join the program, already have a job, leave it for a year and a half, and then go back, and then they seek to change their role, or maybe even move on to another organisation. Because we cover rural development, urban water, waterland and people, the range of organisations is huge. Some people work in policy planning. Some for consulting firms, either national smaller ones or larger international ones. Some people work for development agencies and donor banks like the World Bank or USAID or UN FAO. Some people work for community and non-government organisations, WaterAid and so forth. Other people work for mining companies, and some people, usually 1 or 2 every year, go on to do a PhD. So really diverse again. Difficult to characterise. You will go here because the water sector is itself so diverse, and we've got such a diverse programme. The Master's Scholarships, which you're probably interested in, they are open for application just now. We've got the IWC Master's Scholarships, which are open both for international and domestic. Internationally, what you will require, in fact, both for international and domestic, you require a completed undergraduate degree in a related field of study from an internationally recognised institution, and you need at least 2 years of professional experience, which could be a mixture of work or volunteering. To be competitive, you probably need to have a great degree and great experience. You also need to be able to demonstrate your English language proficiency if you're not from an English language country, and that can be done through a number of the sort of standard IELTS or TOEFL sort of mechanisms. International scholarships, we've got up to 2 full tuition, full living cost scholarships available. So that will pay your fees, will get you to Australia and back again, your flights, your living expenses, your visa and your health cover. And those are open to the people from the countries listed below. If you go to the URL, watercentre.org/scholarships, you'll be able to see that list of countries because they're kind of tiny type, so we could fit them all into this slide. So go to the web address and you'll find that list of countries. That's for the 2 full tuition and full living scholarships, living cost scholarships. We also have 1 full tuition scholarship. Doesn't cover living costs, just full tuition, plus your overseas health cover, and that's got a different list of eligible countries, which are listed there, and they're also listed online. If you want to apply for either one of those scholarships, you go to our web address, watercentre.org/scholarships, and apply online. And we require our application forms to be in by 1st of August. If you are domestic, meaning Australian or New Zealand, we have up to 2 full tuition scholarships available for full-time or part-time study. We tend to find most of our domestics applicants are part-time, but some of them are full-time, and you can apply for either. Your online applications for the domestic scholarships I've got a different closing date, the 1st of October. So international is 1st of August, domestic is 1st of October. You go to the same web address though, and the instructions and links to apply are there at watercentre.org/scholarships. We also will be offering partial scholarships to self-funded Australian and international students. So we're looking to fund, to provide these scholarships to people who that's really who we're trying to target. We put aside a pot of money for these partial scholarships. We will have enough to provide every self-funded student with one. There are two slightly different partial scholarships. The first one is for self-funded students from the US, Canada or European Union. For those students, we will pay $7,000 towards your fees, and we will also refund your flights to Australia up to the value of $2,500. So basically we pay for your cost to get you plus $7,000 of your tuition fees. If you're from anywhere else in the world, IWC will pay $7,000 towards your tuition fees. You don't need to apply for a partial scholarship. You will be granted one if you get into the program and haven't got another scholarship. You can go onto our webpage and learn a little bit more about all of our past scholars. So internationally, we've had scholars from Malaysia through to Uganda, Kenya, United States, Bangladesh, all over the world. And you can click on their profiles once you are online, and you can learn a little bit more about each person. Jacqueline is actually online just now, Jacqueline Maturi. So you'll be able to listen to Jacqueline in just a minute or two. Domestic scholarships, we've got similar profiles for domestic scholars up online. Most of them are living in Australia, but not all of them. So Hans Waldring, for example, works for the Asian Development Bank in Afghanistan, and Isabel Davidson works for the WSSCC in Geneva, Switzerland. But they're Aussie citizens, so they qualified as domestic scholars. Just in case you're working abroad and you're wondering what you should apply for. If you're an Australian or New Zealand citizen, it's a domestic scholarship you apply for. There are other scholarships out there. Probably the biggest source of scholars and scholarships on the programme are the Australian government-funded Australia Award scholarships, the AAS. Used to be funded under what was called AusAid, the Australian government aid agency. It's now administered by DFAT, the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. The applications have closed for entry next year, but applications for entry in 2017 will be opening up either later this year if you're from an African country, or early next year if you're from an Asian or a Pacific country. The URLs are a little bit different depending on where you're from, and they are up on the screen. We'll be putting the voice recording plus the slides up on the web, so you'll be able to get the URLs shortly by just going to the web page. In fact, those web details are already linked from our scholarships webpage. There are other funding options. There are various scholarship databases. Study in Australia is one. There's another set of scholarships called the Endeavour Scholarships, which are offered by the Department of Education. They've just closed for entry in 2016, but they'll be open again early next year for entry in 2017. We also have a list of some other scholarships on our webpage /other financial aid. And if you are an Australian citizen, you can gain access to fee help, or you need to check to make sure that you're eligible for fee help, but in principle fee help is awarded for study on the master's programme, and you need to go to studyassist.gov.au. If you're an Australian and you're employed, then you may well want to approach your employer to pay some or all of your fees. A lot of our part-time participants do that. Further information and contact. We'll listen to Diana and Jacqueline, and then we'll open up for some questions, either to Diana and Jacqueline or to me, or generally about the programme and study here in Australia. Please do look at our webpage, our website, so watercentre.org/education/programs, or watercentre.org/scholarships. Lots of information there, really rich website. Please, however, feel free to email. We've got a fast response email approach, so we'll get back to you within a day or two, hopefully, unless we're in the middle. Who responds to you But you can also give us a phone, and if you are local, then of course you can always arrange to meet up with us at any time. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll stop talking there, I think, and what I'll maybe do is I'll hand over to Jacqueline first of all, and then Diana second, if that's okay. Just to learn a little bit more about their experience in Jacqueline's case so far, because she's not been through the whole program, and then in Diana's case, she's been through everything, so we can listen to her experience. So Jacqueline, does your microphone work okay? Not sure. Oh, Jacqueline's typing. Let's see. Not yet. Okay. Diana, is your microphone working okay?
Can you hear me?
Maybe.
No? Can you hear me? Hello?
Oh, you got frozen.
Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Okay, so, well, my name is Diana Madrigal. As Brian said, I'm from Costa Rica. I am 28 years old, and I'm gonna just start talking a little bit of my background. And yeah, so I'm an environmental manager, um, and I have another certificate in integrated river basin management. And I also have a little bit of a background in. There's another one from Costa Rica here. Okay, so I have a background as well in social entrepreneurship because I started a nonprofit organization a few years ago. Um, so for maybe 5 years, I worked in environment, and for the past 3 or 4 years, I've been working in slums back home. I started the program in 2014, and I'm just finishing. um, Maybe I'm gonna let you know a little bit of my experience from the program and what I got from the program. Um, I think for me, one of the most valuable things was the challenge um, of trying to solve issues that are very different from your context. For example, I had classmates from Nepal, which is completely different to my background and my context. Like we have rainforests, they have rocks. Then it definitely makes you understand that you need to think holistically when you are trying to manage water. So that was definitely really enriching, or um, especially because you have like a science classes, engineering background, economics, so the social classes. So it definitely, whatever your background is, you are needed in water management, and it's, I think, a complement to whatever your background is right now. Um, Another thing that for me was really good was the opportunity to be able to choose a stream. Um, and you can choose a stream that either you want to learn more about or a stream that already supports your background. In my case, I chose the international development stream because I've been working in development and in slums for the past years. And obviously, going to Thailand is pretty cool as well. Um, and really like enriching going to a country and seeing firsthand the effects of development in the livelihoods of people and the effects in water. And you make your own judgment on is this positive or is this not positive. So I think it's really, yeah, it's really good. Then, well, in my case, the class of WASH, the water sanitation and hygiene, was um, very eye-opening and was actually um, what I chose to do my final project in. I chose to do situation analysis on fecal sludge management in Costa Rican slums. So it's not a subject that everybody likes, but I was really like interested in the subject and really didn't know much about it before doing the master's. But it was also a way to join my background on like my passion for water and working with slums, um, and mixing these two together. It also made me aware a lot of the fact that back in my country are really, really bad in fecal sludge management. So my aim is to go back right now and start working with the government in ways to solve this program. Um, and okay, and then, well, for me, I got a scholarship from the Australian government. As Brian was mentioning, first was called AusAid, now it's the Australian Award Scholarship. If you have the possibility, I think these scholarships are not open anymore for people from Latin America. But if you're from Africa, Asia, or the Pacific, I would really encourage you to try to get one of these scholarships because they are fully funding. So it's really good scholarship. And overall, I think the program has been amazing, really, really good. Just the people that you meet, the lectures that we have are amazing and really good scientists and professionals. Um, and just learning from your classmates is also a whole experience. So yeah, that's a little bit of what the master's was for me. Um, yeah, I think that's
Okay.
it.
Thank, thank you, Diana. That's much appreciated. Yes. All right. So yeah. So thank you, Diana. We'll hand over to Jacqueline, and then we'll take some questions in a minute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Maybe just a little bit louder if you can switch your microphone up, or be closer to the microphone.
Hello,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hello everyone. My name, as Brian has said, is Jacqueline. I come from Kenya. And just to begin with my background, I hold a bachelor's degree in natural sciences, whereby I specialize in hydrology. And previously, I have worked with both the private sector and the government back in Kenya. Currently, I'm a water resource officer with the Basin Management Authority, which works mostly in the arid areas of Kenya. And the main problem that we encounter is in the provision of water to water scarce areas. And my basic task was to plan and supervise water projects within the catchment or the basin. This included planning and supervision of both large and small dams, water pumps. In the private sector, I was involved in carrying out hydrogeological surveys for boreholes and maybe the supervision of borehole drilling operations. And as I was going through like currently when I've been working as a water resource officer with the Basin Management Authority, I identified a need or a gap in the way projects were carried out. There was no proper integration, and this helped me to decide on what I was supposed to do, maybe to close the gap, because projects either failed during implementation or after they were successfully completed because there was lack of proper management, and therefore this gap, someone needed to do something about this gap. I therefore wanted to look for new knowledge on integration, especially for water projects, and also for like if you look back in Kenya, there is a problem of water pollution, and therefore there was need to be able to know why people pollute water and they do not take it as anything. Like what can be done? Do we involve them in the management of water resources? And all this comes back to integration. I just started the program in February this year, so I just finished my first semester. The program so far has given me skills on integrated water management, especially when handling water projects. The new knowledge helps me know how to plan for and handle water projects and bearing in mind, like considering both the affected and impacted people. I would say that the main thing that I've been able to learn so far is that water cannot be isolated and managed alone. All other aspects have to be considered. Um, if I want to talk now about the favorite memories, and I think this doesn't come in so well for me because I just began, but I still have something to share. I would say I I I like the challenges that I face, especially when going through the program and when doing the continuous assessments during the semester, because the challenges make me believe in myself. I am able to face my fears, and this brings the best in me. As we all know, when you face a challenge and you go through it, and at the end you become successful, you learn a new thing and you develop your skills. And I think this is an amazing way for the program. It changes the way you think about things. It changes you. It helps you know that believe in yourself. I was awarded a scholarship by the International WaterCentre. That's the full scholarship Brian was talking about. Uh, I would say I'm thankful and happy about it. The application process was long, especially when trying to put together the documents that are required for the application. And what I would say from the application process is that it's good to take, like, to do one thing at a time. Every day or every week you plan for something that you're going to do regarding the application of the scholarship, because together and to do the application. So it's good to start early and continue. I'm happy with the program, and I hope that it's going to continuously give me new skills, and out there I hope to be a different person, especially in managing water resources, and I hope it will give me a better understanding. I'll get better organizational skills and I hope I'll be able to change or to, I hope I'll be able to change, to bring a change somewhere where it's needed. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best as you apply for the scholarship and the admission to UQ. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jacqueline, and before you, Diana. So you've got an insight there from two people at very different points in the program. Diana having finished, if you could type the questions that you'd like to ask in, either directly to Jacqueline or Diana, or more generally to myself or Delphine or Shelley. Please type what you'd like to know. Yeah, so Kamaria, are there exams alongside the PBLs? Look, there are there are a couple of small exams, but generally we try to. Okay, thanks Anton for attending. But yeah, Kamaria, generally we try to, I suppose, avoid exams as an assessment vehicle. We think that we can get a better assessment of people's ability to do things or to know things by means of projects and reports and reading diaries and basically a whole sort of set of written and sometimes some presentation based assessments. We do have a short exam for some basic economic concepts, and we also have had an exam for some basic governance concepts, but we deliberately limit the use of exams. Yep. Okay, so Danilo Silva, first do internships count as relevant professional experience? Yes, yep, so that's a form of volunteering, an internship. And how is the industrial water reuse approach during the course? Yeah, so I suppose we look at water recycling. I suppose in a couple of different ways. We look at it from the perspective of strategic planning. So infrastructure planning and even before that, I suppose water supply system planning. And that involves the use of some techniques called mass balance modeling and maybe a little bit of a life cycle assessment. And we also look at the technologies for water recycling, which generally involves some kind of reverse osmosis, but not all the time. It depends on what the recycled water is going to be used for. We look at some industrial applications, so the wastewater plant that I was speaking about that we visited yesterday with the part-time participants is linked to an oil refinery. So it takes sewage, turns it into a cleaner than potable form of water, which is great for the boilers in the refinery. So we don't. It would be a good thing to do, how to do it, and that might include some industrial focus. Let's just scroll back up again. Kamaria, do participants of the program receive guidance for the choice of the specializations? Yes. You're free to choose your stream. We help you reflect on where you're trying to go professionally, what you're trying to develop in terms of skills and knowledge and career path. But it's up to you to choose your stream. We don't tell you what to choose. We will help you try to make sense of what's the best stream for you, but ultimately it's your decision. David has asked, for domestic scholarships, a learning method can be long distance. Yes, so the way we run part-time, if you're interested in part-time study, is we use a blended approach. By blended, what I mean is it's a blend of face-to-face and online. We've adopted that approach because we think it's the most effective approach. We get to the part-timers together for about a week at the start of every semester, and that's a really good way of getting some condensed contact time between each other, because there's learning between participants. It's not just a participant and expert. It's a way of building trust and bonds, which then help the online classes work much more smoothly, help group projects work much more smoothly. It's also a condensed piece of time where the part-time participants get to interact with the person running the class or the module. So it's blended, a week at the beginning of the semester, and then every week there's one night where there's about an hour and a half of an online session. You do one module one week, next module the next week, then back to the first module, and then the second, so it alternates. Kamaria, how demanding is the program on participants' time? Are there opportunities for students to work in turn? Yeah, so during the semester, it's 100%. Outside of semesters, then it depends on what's available. So in principle, outside of semesters, you can do work or intern. I suppose inside the semester, some people have part-time jobs to augment their income. So a part-time weekend job or part-time evening job, something like that. Not everyone does that. It just depends on your circumstances. So there is enough time to hold down some amount. But during the semester, it's quite an intense learning process. Kamaria, would you consider the IWC scholarship a needs-based scholarship? No, in the sense of we're not awarding on the basis of who needs the most support. We're awarding on the basis of the people who would be. I suppose we're trying to promote excellence. We are trying to promote participation, so we've deliberately structured our scholarships to be, I suppose, more generous scholarship offering to lower income countries. So in that sense, needs-based, but not at the level of the individual applications. We don't screen people's incomes or anything like that. We're looking for, within, I suppose, each category of scholarship, we're looking for people who are able to, I suppose, provide a leadership within the program. So scholarship award winners typically have good to excellent academic qualifications. They've got great experience and they've got passion and ideas. That's really important. Actually, wanting to be an agent of change in the water sector. Hope that answers the question, Kamaria. KPR, start part-time and then move to full-time. Yes. Yep. We've got somebody who's doing that this year. We've got somebody who started the first semester part-time and is now going full-time from the second semester onwards. And you can do it the other way around. We've had a full-timer who went part-time. You can do that during the modules or with the project. That's fine. Is a proposal required as part of the application? Yeah, if you're applying for just a place on the program, queue will be open soon. If you're applying for a domestic scholarship, you do need to fill out the form, and that does have some questions to respond to, but we don't ask for a proposal in the sense of a project proposal, because usually people develop the interests and then the form of what they want to do for their project as a consequence of doing the program. Pankaj, Australian government could hire international applicants after the program for jobs. Yep. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, the Australian government's got to be seen, like most governments, to I suppose, to hire national staff first of all, particularly if there's unemployment. Every country's got some degree of unemployment, so yep, that might be possible, but I think that governments tend to be a bit more restricted in who they could hire. Kamaria, do participants typically travel back to their home countries or outside of Australia for the final project? It varies year to year. some people do. Some people do, and then they do a great project. So I'm thinking of Thakur Thapa from a couple of years ago, a Nepalese man who went back to Nepal to do his final project, did a great job. But other people go back to their home country and they get a bit kind of lost and sucked into normal domestic life and sort of they lose a little bit of focus and drive and maybe don't do as good a project. So, you know, it can be a great thing to do, but it can also be risky. So we talk to each person individually about what they want to do for their project and try and figure out what's the best for them. Yeah, Kamaria, when are participants typically advised to arrive in Australia? Look, we'd probably ask you to arrive at least a week before the start of semester, which is on the 20th of February 2016. A little bit longer might be better, just to help you get settled in and help you find accommodation and just get your bearings. You might go to a pre-program English course run by University of Queensland. They offer them. You have to pay for them, but they offer them, and that can be a good way of settling in terms of language as well as all the sort of practical matters. But I would say at least a week, if not longer. Kamaria. Carlos, which is more relevant for the scholarship? Finance study enthusiastic. Yeah, we're not really. Age isn't really a factor, I suppose. It's about inside the scholarship form. You'll see there are 3 questions. So like we're looking at your CV and your academic qualifications. We're looking at your references, and we're looking at your responses to those 3 questions in order to figure out I suppose the highest quality candidates who are most likely to provide a real leadership role inside the program, and then real leadership and impact after the program. So we've got Hans Valdring, who's one of our scholarship holders, the chap who works for the ADB in Afghanistan. He is, I'm not well, he's over 50, let's put it that way. And we've had other scholars who are just a bit under 30. So look, we look at with this criteria published on the webpage, and we look at the whole of the application before we make a decision. So it's about, I suppose it's about funding people with great potential. That's what we're trying to do. And potential doesn't mean over the rest of a long. KPR. Thanks. So do you? Let's just go. Yeah. So we ask you to upload some letters of reference. If you want to structure your references so that we follow them up, then you can do it that way. That's fine, as long as you actually provide some references, so either for us to contact or the reference letters themselves. How long's the course been running for? Since 2008. Diana Jacqueline, what's it like living in Brisbane? Okay, so yeah, I'll let Diana and Jacqueline answer that. Patrick, do professional experience necessarily need to be in water? Yeah, if they're not in water, I suppose you need to be able to articulate the relevance of your experience for a career in the water sector. That would be important. Sean. Yeah, water management. Yeah, other environmental experience is fine, because water is such a connecting substance. You know, if you've worked in land management, in a sense, you've worked in water management, because land and water are so intimately connected. So Yeah, water should be read quite broadly. It doesn't mean just water supply or wastewater or irrigation or something like that. Sean, I need to go. Yep, sure, Sean. So we'll be posting a link with the presentation and audio shortly. Harriet, can someone with a PR status apply for the domestic scholarship? Shelley, can you respond to that? I don't have the terms directly in front of me. Diana, okay. Yep. Yeah, it's an expensive place. Yep, the one thing that's probably going that might help I suppose the financial accessibility of Brisbane is the exchange rate. So the Australian exchange rate is weakening, so it's becoming more affordable for folk from outside. If you already have an acceptance letter, yeah. So Carlos, it sounds like you've got an entry to the program. Yep. Yeah, so it means that so we only award the scholarship to people who also get um, awarded who are able to enter the program. So it sounds like you passed that part to the kind of the requirements part. Perhaps Carlos, you could email the admin at WaterCentre email address, and we can just make sure that I've given you the correct answer. If you could email us with your with your details, and we'll make sure we give you the right response and right advice. KPR, if you're unsuccessful with scholarship, full program. You know, the way, and I think this is true next year, but the way historically it's worked, KPR is that you pay basically per module. So essentially it's per semester. If you do two modules, you pay 2 modules in a semester from the ones that you're doing. If you're doing 4 modules, you pay for 4 modules. So it's sort of you pay upfront, but only for the part that you're doing. So it's at the start of the semester for whichever modules you're doing. Am I aware if NZ student loan covers the program? Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. Delphine or Shelley might know the answer to that. Boas, to apply for master's program, then later. Now, if you could apply for scholarship first of all, and then master's program. Oh, Carlos, the email address is on the middle of the slide. In front of you, it says email admin@watercentre.org. Carlos, if you could email that, then it'll either be Shelley or our colleague Jenny who picks it up and responds. Get my graduate result from university in first week of August. Could apply for scholarship within my academic records. Shelley, can you respond to that one? Okay, Kamari, does IWC help facilitate finding placements in final project? Yes, we do. That's one of the main things we do for final projects, as well as actually providing you some preparation support. But yes, so we are link into almost any organisation or kind of organisation that you might want to do your project with, whether it's here in Australia or abroad. Yeah, KPR, if we can, Delphine or Shelley, if you're able to get back to KPR about the NZ student loan, do we know anything about whether NZ student loans cover the programme? KP, KPR, we don't know about the NZ student loan scheme. We've not looked at that. If you are able to inquire with them, if they need anything from us, then very happy to provide information to them if they start asking some questions about the actual program. But I think maybe it'd be best to ask them directly. Have you ever? Yep. So, Kamaria, have you ever had a participant whose final project crossed 2 specialization streams? Yes, I suppose there's one. Yes is the answer, and the answer is probably quite a lot of them do that. But one recent one, participant from Delhi in India did I suppose was looking at decentralized water supplies in the context of providing slum water supplies in Delhi. And so it was sort of a crossover between some of the decentralization focus of the urban stream, which she did, this participant, and the and what international development, the sort of almost sort of wash part of international development. So yeah, generally people do a final project that's got something to do with their stream. It's not so common that people change topic entirely, but people do begin to add in things because you're looking at a problem, and the problem might require a mixing together of lots of different topics and knowledge and skills. So it's the problem that matters probably rather than anything else. Yeah, so Jacqueline, we are probably going to change that this year. In fact, we are going to change that. So we will be we'll be seeking to speak to the successful, well, the shortlisted candidates probably by Skype. If you want to apply directly for PhD, Pankaj. Yeah, so if you were interested in a PhD, what you would do, you would be applying for funding, not to us. We don't provide PhD funding, we provide master's funding. You would be looking to apply for funding either from the Australia Awards, I think they award PhD funding, or from a university like University of Queensland or Griffith University. They have international scholarships. So I would go to either University of Queensland or Griffith's International Scholarships webpage, and you'll find out some details about PhDs there. Would participants have access to past final projects? Yes, we do. We use a system called Blackboard, Canaria. And every year before as part of preparation for the final projects, we put a range of different final projects, a range meaning across different subject areas and related an OK mark project looks like, and that just helps people understand what they're being asked to do. Yep. Carlos, can the final project developed in our country? In that case, who's responsible for the financial aid? Yes, so I think there was a question earlier on about final projects. So yes, you can go back to your own project, your own country for your project. That sometimes works. So I mentioned Thakur Thapa went back to Nepal, did a great project. In fact, Diana went back to Costa Rica to do some field work. Thakur went back pretty much for the whole of the project. Great project. Diana went back just for some, I think Diana for some field work. But other people go back and they get a bit lost in they get a bit stuck in their domestic life, maybe with their family, their kids, their work. And so the project, they don't do such a good project. So going back to your own country is possible, but it can be a bit risky. So the way that we'd figure that out for you, Carlos, if you were on the program, is we'd sit down and talk with you about it. Is there a final presentation, defense of the project? No, nope. We are organising through the alumni network some sharing but it's a written submission. That's the final project is a written submission. Danilo Silva. Yeah, so the timeline. Delphine, can you answer Danilo in terms of timeline? Excellent, thanks Delphine. Yeah. Okay. So what we'll probably do just now is to wrap up the session. If there's a last one or two questions, that's fine. But we are open for questions via the admin@watercentre.org email address. And many thanks again for your time. I'd like to say thanks particularly to Diana and to Jacqueline for giving up some time and helping to tell their story and give you an insight from a participant's perspective. And again, thank you to all of you for your time. Hopefully we see some of your applications, and hopefully we see some of you here on the program in Brisbane next year. That would be a fantastic outcome. Okay, so we'll get this recording up, audio recording and the slides up onto the website shortly, and Delphine, I think, will contact everyone with a link so that you can see and listen to the recording.